Horses, to my ancestors, they referred to them as Chinkshi or Chungshi. What that means is my son or my daughter. That's how close they were to their horses. They looked at them as my son or my daughter. So when they disarmed and dismounted the Lakota, they created a ripple effect. They took those horses without permission. They took their sons and their daughters without permission. We don't ever talk about that. We can talk about the Indian wars, forced assimilation, boarding schools, but we seem to have forgotten was how traumatic the loss of the horse was. So as I got to know these Kuntz brothers, and to be honest, again, it was my wife, right? United Tribes Paul, we're looking at vendors and we're walking and she says, come here, let's go look at this. And I look up and I see a sign that says Nakota Horse Conservancy. It has a logo on it. It has a picture of a real beautiful blue roan, but it's like, big hairy deal. I was raised around horses. I'm around horses all the time, And she goes in there and I'm just kind of standing there looking at this thing, and she comes back out with this little German guy. And he just strikes up a conversation with me, and we start talking, and all of a sudden what caught my attention was this guy's talking about horses in a spiritual way. He's speaking English, but he's talking about horses in a spiritual way. And we don't have enough time in a day to talk about how this is catching on with us, but then I meet this guy. And horses get introduced into us. And one day, we set up a time to go to Conservancy to repatriate our horses. Because that day when I met Leo, and he told me that story, that, these are Sitting Bull's horses. I asked him, I said, well, when are you going to give us our horses back? He did that, he kind of laughed. But that day when we went to Conservancy to repatriate our horses, we knew what we were doing. We knew that with the best of intentions, we were going to cause trauma. We knew that. Because as we were walking through the herds and I was selecting the horses that I wanted, I knew I was taking families apart. I knew I was going to cause trauma in those herds. So that day, and our spirituality is real, we've protected it by not sharing it. We've protected it by letting it go underground. So it's real rare for us to show our spirituality in front of people, but that day we did because we thought it was important for people to see. And we talked to those horses, we prayed with them, and we sang with them. And that night, and Donna got to be a part of that. As we were driving back to Stony Rock, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. 100 and some years later, these horses and our people were going to reconnect again. I couldn't believe it. We pull up to the corrals, we unload those horses, and I had my family show up. A lot of my relatives showed up, and no one was talking. Because none of us could believe that they're coming back. We're reconnecting. And whatever that was that I experienced that night, I still can't quite explain it to you. And I don't know if it's because it was so brand new, I don't have a way to express it, or if it was so old that I forgot how to express it. But there was something healing about that. Something that put a tear in your eye. Something that put courage in your heart. And my wife talked about it later, and she said, it was like remembering a long ago trauma, a long ago pain. And I think those horses knew us, and we knew them.